Hi there, I'm Meg and I'm the events manager at Farmgirl Flowers, and today I'm here to give a few care tips for Ranunculus. So Ranunculus are one of our most popular, most requested flowers at Farmgirl. Everybody loves them, how could you not? They have so many beautiful romantic petals and they have a pretty long lifespan actually. They're a very delicate flower, but they do last for quite some time. So they're a lot of bang for your buck and they are a very popular flower. So a couple of things to pay attention to when your ranunculus first arrive. They might look a little dehydrated. This is very normal. They will most likely come packaged in tissue or wax paper or plastic wrap. And I'm gonna recommend that you keep that on while you do the first hydrate for your flowers. So you're gonna wanna grab a large vessel and fill it up with some water. This already has a little bit, but I'm gonna pour a little bit more in. And you'll wanna trim the stems of your ranunculus by at least about 1 inch. And set them in your water to hydrate. So as you're hydrating your flowers and you're giving them their first trim, if you notice that any of your stems are broken, that's not necessarily a terrible thing. It's a little sad whenever they arrive broken, but you can trim it short and then save this guy to the side and you can use it in a bud vase. So don't be too sad if you end up with a couple of broken stems because you can always add those to a little bud vase and keep it on the side. So I'm not gonna worry about processing away any of the leaves with this first trim. I really just want them to get hydrated and then we'll go ahead and process them in about an hour or two. Great, so now that your ranunculus have hydrated for a couple of hours, we are ready to process them and then style them in a vase. So I'm just gonna go ahead and take them out. And so some of the ranunculus you won't need to process at all. They will come with no leaves and no extra buds on them, and that's great. And you can just put those to the side. They don't need anything from us. And then others will have some leaves at the bottom. Ranunculus are super easy to process. You don't need any special tools. You can just take those leaves off. And the reason to remove the leaves is if you leave them on and they're in your water, in your vase, they can introduce bacteria. And this is bad for the longevity of your flowers. So you just wanna make sure that you're taking off any leaves that would fall below the water line. And if there's any like browning on them, you can just trim that away as well. So some of the ranunculus are going to have these like little buds on them. If you like the way that those look, they kind of look a little whimsical, you can leave those on. You can also take them off if you would prefer to have just the ranunculus. So as you're processing, you might come across a couple of ranunculus that you'll see have some damaged petals on the outside like this. They might be a little bit bruised or a little bit creased. And that's pretty normal for ranunculus. This just is something that happens in transport. It's nothing to be too worried about because you can actually just grab those petals and gently remove them the same way that you would with a guard petal for a rose. So you can just go ahead and pull those off from the base. And as the ranunculus continues to open, all of these petals are really gonna continue to fan out, so it won't be really taking anything away from the overall bloom. So now that you've processed and removed any guard petals, you're ready to start styling in your vase. So the best way that I like to do this is if you have enough ranunculus that you can hold them in your hand, you can sort of start designing them in your hand, like a little handheld bouquet. You can also just go ahead and trim the stems and put them right in your vase without kind of doing any pre-arranging, but I kind of like to do this just to help get a sense of what the shape is going to be like before I add them to the vase. So I'm gonna go ahead and sort of measure against the height of my vase here before I give them a trim. And I usually err on the side of keeping the stems a little bit long because I know I can always go back in and trim them down shorter if I want to. I'm gonna go ahead and put them in my vase and then just kind of spread them out, rearrange as needed. Sometimes because ranunculus are kind of a whimsical flower, it's nice to leave a few stems really tall, and then you can also trim some of them shorter so that they fill in the space. And then once you've decided that you're happy with your arrangement, you can go ahead and find a place for it in your home that's going to be out of any direct sunlight and away from any direct heat source. So one other way that you can help maintain your flowers' freshness is to trim the stems maybe every other day as you're changing out the water, and this will help them stay really fresh. So thank you so much for watching our Ranunculus care tips. I've been Meg for Farmgirl Flowers, and we'll see you next time.